When was the last time you asked yourself, what's the meaning and purpose of life? Let's get into it. Happy new day, beautiful people. It's your brother Joshua Nehemiah here with another episode of I Gotta Say This. Thank you for tuning in. This episode is brought to you by Gum Clothing. Their tagline is "We are God's people." It's the #1 clothing brand for unity. Thank you for tuning in today, and we will be talking about the meaning and purpose of life. Don't we find ourselves asking these existential questions at different points in our lives? Nowadays, I feel like that question doesn't get asked as much because we're so bombarded with all these other types of conversations about the mundane, and we missed talking about the meaning of life. I think these types of conversations are extremely important because it speaks to our human existence. It speaks to how we deal with conflict, how we deal with uncertainty, and most importantly, it speaks to our own purpose. This meaning of life conversation, it seems to have gotten lost, and many people throughout the ages have spoken on this. It just seems like now, with all this technology that we have and accessibility to one another's insights, the stuff that matters most that can edify us as a collective and as individuals, seems like that stuff is getting kind of lost. And so I'm not about to say, I know the meaning of life. I'm not about to say it like that, but I do believe that each one of us have a contribution to make to that conversation because we do exist, because we do have life. And beyond material things, I think that we all have something to say about this experience because of what we have had occur in our lives that brings us to some type of foundation that we can stand firm on about why we exist and why other people exist, like God's intention. I'm gonna talk about the meaning of life. I hope this is something that causes reflection. It's causing me reflection, and I'm not, like I said, I want to be very clear here. I'm saying this for conversational purposes. I'm saying this for edification purposes, and I'm saying this for the purpose of making a contribution to our existence and how we understand one another. So if there's something that you agree with, disagree with, want to flush out more, send the email, write something in the comments, and let's get to it. Our starting point for understanding this meaning of life, for understanding our existence, we have to understand it's imperative to any type of conjecture about existence that we acknowledge that there is a higher power. We must acknowledge that there is a higher power. We must acknowledge that there is a being that transcends time and space and all material things. Because for us to have existence, and I'm not just talking about existence from a survival perspective, like a deer or a bear or a caterpillar has existence. Our existence is completely different from theirs because we have consciousness. We exist with values and ideas for creation, creating whatever. And then we also have values, sense of justice, love, desire for peace, tranquility, community. because we have all of those things, those and people want to talk about Big Bang Theory and Darwinism and all that kind of stuff. For me, evolution is real. When you see how birds and different animals evolve for survival, that in that sense, that stuff is real. So when it comes to evolution, humans evolve. We talk about the process of a sperm going into an egg and then forming into an embryo and doing all of those things. That can be considered an evolutionary process. We don't want to call it as such because we want to make evolution this thing where humans came from gorillas or a fish and that's how we became over time. But that does not fall true when we consider our level of consciousness. Like, love has no place in survival because love will cause someone to sacrifice themselves for the survival of others. And that is directly against evolution because evolution is supposed to be survival of the fittest. So our idea of justice does not fall in the line of evolution or Darwinism because those concepts will cause an individual or a group to work contrary to survival for higher values. So we do have these experiences of evolution, but not in those senses. So we have to acknowledge the existence of a higher power, the existence of God. And we see God's existence in our humanity, something that we don't want to overtly say, especially in religious communities, is that humans are divine. That's not spoken of. We don't want to talk about that, but humans have divinity. Every human being, every human person has the image of God superimposed upon them. Every person has divine beauty within them. It can never be corrupted. I think that was Augustine that talks about the imago Dei. We all have the image of God. And being made in God's image, it comes with some privileges, it comes with some powers, and it comes with some responsibilities. And so when we talk about the meaning of life, when we talk about the purpose of life, so meaning and purpose are two different things. I can hear where it can be considered synonymous, but I don't think it's synonymous. The purpose of a vehicle is to take you from one place to another. That's its purpose. The meaning of a vehicle is transportation. A vehicle means transportation. Now, the purpose of a car is to take you from one place to another on four wheels. The purpose of an airplane is to take you from one place to another through the air at a certain duration of time. So the meaning is the same. The meaning of an airplane is transportation. The meaning of a car is transportation, a vehicle for transportation. But their purposes, how they do what they do, it's different. So I hope that's understood as I'm trying to make this distinction because there is meaning in life for everyone and there is purpose in life for everyone. Because we exist in community and as individuals, there's an overlapping of meaning. There's a collective meaning. There's individual meaning. There's a collective purpose. There's individual purposes. And one affects the other. It's intertwined. Like you can't separate one from the other. And this is important to have this understanding when we're talking about purpose and meaning of life, and then how we see ourselves as individuals because we all want to know, what is my purpose? So I'll start off in the macro. We're just going to go large here and talk about it from a bird's eye view. Like, all humans share certain purposes. All humans have some of the same purposes. We don't all have the same purpose. As my purpose is your purpose as an individual, but as a collective, we all share similar purposes or same purposes. I'm going to give this example. Creation, being creative. That is a purpose of humanity. Humanity was made with the purpose to create. That is my purpose. That is your purpose. You have, just like I have, been endowed with the gift of creativity. We all have it. The issue is that, like a muscle, everything's a muscle. If you don't use it, you lose it. It doesn't mean it goes away. It just means that it hasn't been strengthened. It hasn't been exercised to be strengthened, and it hasn't been tested to be proven. But it's all still there. We all still have it. You are creative. You are a creator. I am creative. I am a creator. One person creates music. The other creates movies. The other creates cabinetry. The other creates clothing. The other creates other types of inventions. Like, we all have this ability to create something. And let me tell you how deep this thing is, because we're talking about purpose and it being connected back to God. God is the creator. And when God said, let me make man in my image, he meant that literally. I'm going to make a creator like myself that has the ability to bring things from nothing into something. They're going to have the ability to have a thought, and then the ability to create the tools to create that thing which they thought of. I'm going to put that in them. They're going to be little creators. That's a purpose of ours. So much so that we create in our anatomy. Like, this is how much we're creators by default. Our anatomy, DNA, cellular structure, different parts of the body replenishes itself with new cells. The body makes new cells. That's a creation process. Not only that, humans create other humans. That's not something that they learned in class or they had to sharpen as a tool. That's just innate in the human. In all creation, it's to create. So that's a purpose that we have. Now, when it comes to individual purposes of creation, you ever wonder why people stress out or people are frustrated with themselves, with their situation? I have. I've wondered, I've been frustrated with my situation. I've been frustrated with waiting for things to change for me. I've been grinding, and I'm like, when is my change gonna come? God, if you listening, help. I've been in those places and still exist in those places. And I had to reflect on, why am I frustrated? And it came to me one day that I'm not frustrated. I'm constipated. I am constipated. I am creatively constipated. The frustration has been, I am not doing the thing that has been put inside of me to do. I am not allowing myself to create. So because I'm not allowing myself to create, I'm causing frustration, because what's trying to come out, the idea that's been dwelling with me to do a podcast, to make this project, to make this clothing, to do whatever has been placed on me that I was not doing, that's within my control, it's caused frustration and stress because what's trying to come out, I'm not letting it come out. And it's a part of me naturally. So it was like I wasn't even being myself, because when you're not creating, you're not being yourself, because you are a creator. That's a part of your purpose in whatever facet. And it doesn't have to be on a level, if you're a singer, it doesn't have to be on a level of a Mariah Carey. If you're a rapper, it don't have to be on a level of a Kendrick Lamar. Or I should have said SZA, right? I should have said SZA or whoever else is out right now. It doesn't have to be at that level. It just has to be at the level of expression and doing. And when that happens, you start to feel fulfilled because you're living out of your purpose. You are doing something that you're supposed to be doing. You are creating because you are a creator. So when you don't create, you frustrate. And because the creation of the thing that's in your own heart and mind is within your control, and you're not doing what's in your control, then you start to stress because you're not doing what's in your control. And then that spills over to other things, and you thinking you're a procrastinator, and you're not necessarily a procrastinator. You're just not doing your own thing that you're supposed to be doing. And since you're not doing that, other things are being affected by it too. But when you're living out your purpose, everything is affected by it too. You feel good, and everywhere you go, you just, and so that's just something I wanted to say about that. One more thing. The creator rewards creation. The omnipresent one rewards creation. And let me give you a prime example of this. Think of the wackest artist in any field that you enjoy, whether if it's music, entertainment, fashion and design, whatever. Just think of some rapper that you think is whack. And you like, how is this dude out here like that? Or this singer that you think has no vocal skills at all. How is she out here like this? How is she getting all this notoriety? She can't sing. Listen, she can't sing. He can't rap, but he's creating. She's creating. They are doing something with what's been placed in their hearts and their minds. This is where it gets nuanced, because the creator is going to reward creation, period. That's what God wants. God wants us to create. Now, we can use our creative powers for evil or for good. And depending on the system that we exist in, those systems will tend to reward or punish creation. We have to understand this is where we're dealing with both the natural and the supernatural. God wants us to use our abilities for good, but we do exist on this human plane. And in this experience, there are systems that we're in. And these systems will reward people for using their talents and their gifts and their creative powers to maintain a system that allows it to carry out its agenda. People get rewarded for using their powers for that. What that reward system looks like, depending on the system that a person is operating in, that's a whole different conversation for another day. But the creator rewards creation. The creator rewards courage. It takes courage to create. It takes courage to move by faith. And so this is part one, talking about the meaning of life, and we're talking about purpose. And one thing I want to close out with is that you have a purpose. part of your purpose is to create. You are a creator by default. There's something that's been placed in your heart to make. I didn't used to think that I was creative. Believe it or not, I didn't used to think I was talented. I did not used to think I was talented. I used to think talent was singing, rapping, athleticism, all those things merited in society. I thought that that was talented, and I didn't have that. Even though there was some athleticism there, but not crazy LeBron James athleticism. I was more like Allen Houston athleticism than LeBron James. But I didn't think I was talented. Man, once I jumped off and started just making the things that was in my mind to make, it unlocked so much talent. I started off using my hands to make clothes. I done got into carpentry. I done built a 6x8 magazine photo booth box. I done built headboards, businesses, inventions. So much was unlocked. And I'm only saying that because we can sometimes self-defeat and think that we don't have it when we do. And we would only know how much we have when we start off with the little that we do know we have. So I just want to say that one of your purposes here, it is to create. You are a creator. I hope this episode was a blessing to you. I hope this was the encouragement you needed to begin your journey of unlocking your treasures and allowing your creativity to flow and to unblock the creative constipation. Please look out for episode part 2 on meaning and purpose. It will definitely be a banger. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of I Gotta Say This. This episode was brought to you by Gum Clothing, the #1 clothing brand for Unity. Their tagline is, "We are God's people." It's a faith-based brand built for believers in the brotherhood of humanity, a faith that goes beyond the church walls, that extends to all people. It's a fashion line that you should check out at gumclothing.com. That's GUM clothing.com, where you will find fashion-forward t-shirts, hats, and hoodies that represent values of love, peace, and progress. Please check them out. Thank you again for tuning in. Remember, the best thing in life is life. God bless you. God keep you. Peace.